Welcome back. Today, we're diving straight into what is essentially the beating heart of the modern supply chain. We are talking about transforming one of our biggest, most persistent logistical blind spots into a state of perfectly coordinated, real-time clarity. If you've ever found yourself wondering how these absolutely massive facilities keep thousands of moving parts from just grinding to a total halt, well, you are in the right place. Let's get into it.
So picture this scenario for a second. A trailer arrives early. Another one is parked out there somewhere in row C, though nobody is quite sure exactly where. Meanwhile, a driver is just sitting there waiting for a dock that has technically been free for 12 minutes. Sound familiar? Honestly, none of these situations are unusual in a busy logistics hub. But here's why this really matters to us. Small, everyday gaps in information pile up incredibly fast. When an operation relies on dozens of manual checks, those tiny uncertainties literally bleed massive amounts of capacity and money.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll be walking through Section 1, the logistics blind spot. Section 2, what is smart yard management? Section 3, the technology toolkit. Section 4, real-world impact and benefits. And finally, Section 5, best practices and pitfalls.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the logistics blind spot.
Let's really look at the friction points that plague traditional yard operations. You know the drill: phone calls, crackly radio messages, clipboards. And hey, clipboards are especially fun to use when it's pouring rain, right? These manual methods basically create what we can call a snapshot. A worker walks the yard, notes a trailer's location, writes it down. But the operation doesn't stop. It keeps moving. So 10 minutes later, that snapshot is completely obsolete. Once your volume scales up, teams spend a shocking amount of time just trying to figure out where things actually are. Smart operations, on the other hand, trade that snapshot for a continuously updating live stream. Real-time digital tracking replaces those periodic manual checks, so you're managing the facility based on what is happening right this very second, not 20 minutes ago.
Which brings us nicely to Section 2. What exactly is smart yard management?
So how do we define it? Basically, smart yard management is the digital coordination of everything: trailers, tractors, docks, gates, equipment, and people inside a logistics site, with one primary goal: to make the next move obvious. That last part is absolutely crucial. A trailer might be dropped off, moved by a hostler, reassigned to a different door, loaded up, and then marked for outbound collection, all within just a few hours. The objective here isn't just to hoard a bunch of data. It's to identify each asset, know its exact real-time location, and make the next logical step completely undeniably obvious to the operators on the ground.
And how exactly does it make that next move obvious? Through what I like to call disappearing tech. It's brilliant. A truck passes a reader. Boom! An ID is captured. The software updates. Zero human typing required. The most fascinating thing about this technology is that it works best when it just blends seamlessly into the physical process. A trailer changes position and a sensor simply reports it. The system updates without asking a single human being to stop what they're doing, peel off their wet gloves, and type a status update into a spreadsheet. It connects physical movements with live digital data completely automatically.
Now that kind of invisible automation requires some serious hardware. Let's get into Section 3, the technology toolkit.
Now, what's really interesting here is that there is no single magic bullet technology. Every yard is different, so most deployments actually mix several tools. First up, RFID. This is incredible for automatic identification. A truck rolls through a gate, a reader grabs the tags instantly, nobody even taps the brakes. For moving assets across huge outdoor areas like your tractors, GPS gives you that exact positioning. Then we have BLE, or Bluetooth Low Energy, perfect for short-range proximity, like confirming a trailer is parked at one specific dock door. If you need sensors scattered across a massive remote yard that run on battery power for literal years, you're going to use LoRaWAN. And tying it all together, 5G provides the high-capacity network for heavy automated equipment. Individually, they're great, but together they weave this inescapable real-time tracking net.
So who is benefiting the most from this net? Let's quickly fire through the big players. Manufacturing uses it to flawlessly link inbound transportation with production. Retail and distribution, they absolutely depend on this because they are juggling insane volumes and incredibly tight dock capacity. Third-party logistics are 3PLs. They're managing multiple customers and complex rule sets, so digital tracking is a lifesaver. In food and beverage, timing is literally everything. Integrating movement data with temp monitoring means nothing spoils on the lot. And ports, well, the sheer density of asset transfers there makes automated ID practically mandatory these days. But why are these massive industries spending so much on this? Let's look at Section 4, Real-World Impact and Benefits.
The true superpower of a smart yard is not some dramatic, flashy new capability. Honestly, it's the quiet removal of dozens of tiny, annoying uncertainties. Think about simply finding a trailer. Instead of a driver blindly searching rows upon rows, they're dispatched directly to an exact coordinate. A few wasted minutes here and there multiplied across hundreds of daily moves, that is a massive return of lost capacity. By knowing exactly when a dock is free, you slash detention and dwell times. Trucks aren't just sitting idle. You eliminate repetitive manual checks, which frees up your staff to actually solve complex problems, instead of just recording them on a clipboard. This live data drives incredibly precise staffing decisions and highlights bottlenecks before they spiral out of control.
Buying the hardware is the easy part. Making it work is the real challenge. Let's move to Section 5, Best Practices and Pitfalls.
If you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer, remember this. Define your operational objectives first. Measure your search times, measure your gate queues. You have to identify the specific operational friction before you buy a single sensor. Step 2 is integration. Your new tracking data has to talk seamlessly to your yard management system, as well as your warehouse and transport software. Step 3, standardize your data. A trailer should never have 3 different names in your system, period. Step 4, keep a close eye on your KPIs, like gate turnarounds. And Step 5, this is a big one, expand gradually. Prove the value in one specific zone of the yard before you try wiring up the entire facility.
Now we also have to talk about the hurdles. The most glaring pitfall is neglecting master data quality. Think about it. A perfectly accurate GPS coordinate paired with the wrong trailer ID is completely useless to your dispatchers. You also cannot ignore interoperability. A tracking system that doesn't talk to your main software just creates yet another screen for your team to monitor, which defeats the purpose. Also, do not underestimate physical realities. Stacks of metal trailers, heavy rain, thick snow, they can all mess with sensor signals, so rigorous on-site testing is a must. And finally, if you fail to establish a baseline before you deploy, you will literally never know if your expensive new system actually improved things or if it just looks cool.
Which brings us to our final thought today. Does your yard give you the whole real-time picture, or are you still relying on a snapshot from 20 minutes ago? In today's hyper-fast logistics environment, relying on aging data is just a recipe for chaos. Smart yard management is really all about stripping away those blind spots so you can operate with total digital clarity. I hope this explainer gave you a solid, actionable understanding of how this tech is completely rewiring logistics from the inside out. Keep learning, keep questioning your processes, and take a hard look at your own operations. Catch you next time.